back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. It is the 28th of March, and it is also Palm Sunday. That's it. That's what I have. That's my intro.
Wow, that was brrrm. All right, guys, we have a show.
Well, Leah said, I've got something I want to give them. I want this. And so that was my segue into you going into the Palm Sunday thing. It was like, hit it over, Sam.
Okay, well, I have a big show today, guys, and if you're joining us on YouTube, you're going to miss a good half of it because I'm not sure. You know, a lot of people can discuss these vaccine passports and immunity passports,
and they're fine.
They're
YouTube
fine.
Lets them go. No
Rebel News Media puts up their protest all the time, and they're still on YouTube. But it feels like it's so weird that we just seem to be on some sort of list. And it can't be the algorithm because the algorithm would catch Rebel News and all these other people. Michelle keeps saying we don't have one person watching our show trying to find videos.
What I'm saying is I think that there's different categories. I think that they are in a safe zone. You know, I think a lot of these channels like Lisa Haven, and I think that they're in safe zones.
Lisa Haven still has a YouTube.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, she does. As far as I'm concerned, I just saw it yesterday.
You've got to be kidding me.
I'm just saying.
Wow. And you know what, guys? That's why they censor us. And I don't, no offense to Lisa Haven, but there's a lot of people who post a lot of disinformation. I'm not saying Lisa Haven does, but she delves into she can break a lot of documents down. I love her. Okay. But I think that sometimes they allow certain people to be up because they do lead people down everything's a conspiracy road. We have a saying here. It's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth, because we only bring you the truth. I know we have a lot of, the letter followers, okay? And you can do your thing, but I'm telling you, there's disinformation there. The CIA has infiltrated that movement just to get you down rabbit holes, okay? Right. I know a lot of people how far down on the rabbit hole are you, whatever, Alice in Wonderland. They get people down rabbit holes with dead ends.
Right.
I guarantee you, as God is my witness, I do my best to not lead you down any rabbit holes with dead ends. If there is a conspiracy theory out there, we're going to make sure that it's the truth. We don't bring you just stuff to itch your ears, because what has happened is that the whole realm of conspiracy theory has become a religion. Well, do you think they landed on the moon? Or do you think the earth is round? Or do you think? I'm telling you guys, there's so much disinformation. These people, they latch on to certain narratives like it's a religion. Okay? My religion is in the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're celebrating Palm Sunday, and he can give us wisdom and knowledge and help us to find the truth, the real truth. Now,
the truth, here's the deal though. The truth is really, really scary. Okay, the truth is IG Farben really did gas the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay, the truth is for the past, since the Industrial Revolution, they have literally planned to depopulate the earth, to create a nation of workers instead of thinkers. I mean, to create the slave state, the agenda, 2021.
You'll notice, though,
all of that stuff, that is real.
If your conspiracy theory group does not pinpoint mass education and public schooling, you're not in the right group.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Because the only way you have the woke agenda is by brainwashing kids. It's so funny because people, and I know this is kind of a rabbit trail on this, but it's important because we're seeing today the total obliteration of dictionary definitions: male, female, right wing, left wing. What is it anymore?
Right.
Okay. And the only way they're able to get their message across, to get their agenda done, is because they have trained us from the time we were 3 and 4 years old. The earlier they get, and that's why Hillary Clinton wants, universal preschool. That's why they push for women to work. That because the earlier they can get a kid. I mean, the Catholic Church says, give me a kid by 5 years old, and I can have him for life. Okay, the Bible even says, Train up a child in the way they should go. Children are malleable. Even their bones are still growing, okay? They're not set in stone. Why do you think you've got a certain number of radical Islamists out there? People aren't born with a radical bone in their body. It's trained. It's the result of sin, of a fallen world. Satan puts ideas into people's heads, mostly adults. And then those adults put those satanic ideas into children because children are innocent. Children love, okay? And if you can get to children and you can separate the idea that they are created by God, that God has a purpose for their life, if you can fill them with ideas of trinkets and concerts and movies, then you can control them. And so people are like, is this the destruction? Is this the judgment of God? Absolutely not. This is a trajectory of where people have been for the past, since the early 1900s, and we've taken you through the Frankfurt School and the Fords and the Carnegies and the Rockefellers. Guys, there's always men out there who need slaves. Okay? Slavery has been around since the beginning of time. They found that slavery was actually expensive and actually dying out in the South.
Right.
And then the cotton gin was created and like, ooh, there's a little boom there. Okay? It's cheaper if your slave provides their own housing, their own food, their own insurance, but then you still get to use them.
Right.
And their own transportation. They don't have to be on your plantation anymore, right? Okay? So when you have an assembly line, you need people who can't think independently.
Right.
Who think that they need you for a job. That's why our whole news-based economy is on the economy.
Right.
Okay, how's the economy doing? And how's your job? How's your job? Not how is your career? How is your calling? What was the reason people came to America? To be free from under the yoke of another man, to be free to use your own two hands, to build your own business, your own life, okay? That's what the American entrepreneur spirit was about. And Americans were the most highly educated people in like the history of the world, okay? John Adams said, you're going to find a comet more than you can find an illiterate person. And what was happening was that as people in America were becoming so literate and they could read and write and think, then you couldn't use them as laborers anymore.
Right.
Okay? The beginning of America, the founding of America, there's a labor shortage because why work for somebody else if you can work for yourself? Okay? What do you think the tax code is all about? One of the reasons for the tax code is so that you find it so intimidating that you don't start your own business.
Right.
That it's easier to pass off those $100,000, $200,000 salaries for accountants to check off your books if you're a big business. But if you're a small business, like we're a very small business, you've got to find a way to do it yourself, or you've got to pay a good portion of your salary just to get your taxes done, much less to pay them. Okay? So where am I going with all this?
I don't know.
Conspiracy theories, okay? And censorship. The reason our channel isn't allowed to grow is because we hit the nail on the head.
Right.
Every single time.
We try.
Well, with the power of God, we do.
Right.
Okay? We go after the real deal and what's really going on. And when we don't know,
we wait.
We wait, or we tell you, we'll bring you the truth, but we may not know everything around it. Okay? But we get to what's really going on. And I search, and why is this important? Because the more red-pilled you are on situations, then we can get you out of that brainwashing. You can stop being a slave. You can stop being an automaton. And then we bring you Christianity, because it's the only way to stop this thing, because this is a spiritual battle. And speaking of spiritual battles, there was an Islamic terror suicide bombing attack on a church here in Indonesia, and you feel free to bring this up. A coming a week before Christians around the world celebrate Easter. I'm going to have the Zero Hedge article up.
Got it.
A packed Roman Catholic church in Indonesia has been targeted by 2 suicide bombers during a Palm Sunday experience. And God bless our brothers and sisters there over in Indonesia.
We're not Catholic when Leah does that. Not that it matters. I just want to clarify. She just does it because we were raised around it, and it seems like a good thing to do.
I like it. And the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
So great. I love it.
It happened on Indonesia's Sulawesi Island, and the blast injured at least 20 people. The explosives were reportedly detonated just outside of the church. And so far, authorities have said that the only fatalities were the pair of the suicide bombers themselves. At that point, I'm like, why not just leave the backpack? Like, this is them. This is so radical that they're literally trying to send themselves into the heaven for the 17 virgins, because you could just like drop off the backpack. They were suicide bombing themselves. They didn't go into the church. It was outside of the church. The AP reports that video obtained by the Associated Press show body parts scattered near a burning motorbike at the gates of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Cathedral in Makassar, the capital of South Sulawesi province. Is that I'm saying that right? One of the attackers is believed to have been a woman. Both bombers had arrived on motorbike, and the carnage could have been much worse before they were confronted. That's why they didn't go by security guards based on suspicions. After which they detonated outside of the building. So this could have been a bigger deal. They did want to go inside. I get it. Okay. Reverend Williamus Tulloch, a priest of the church, said he had just finished celebrating Palm Sunday Mass when a loud bang shocked his congregation. The AP writes, he said the blast went off at about 10:30 a.m. as a first batch of churchgoers was walking out of the church and another group was coming in. Over the past years, Indonesia's minority Christians have been subject to multiple Islamist attacks and bombings of churches. Not only is Indonesia the most populous Muslim country in the world, but it has large pockets, especially in rural areas, where hardline clerics and militant groups hold
This is
sway.
not the first time
You can play
that
that
we
if
have
you want.
seen like Easter Sunday attacks in Indonesia or Palm Sunday attacks in Indonesia. This is a thing. And I think that that's why the security was probably on a little bit of a higher
Well, imagine
alert.
you have to you have to have security in Indonesia to go to church. You have 4 TVs, 5 TVs, 6 TVs. You can make it bigger. It's hard to see what's going on. Is that the pair right there?
Oh, wow. That's awful. That had me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
So the good news is so far, no one has died.
Except for the suicide bombers. Indonesian Christians especially tend to be targeted during their holidays such as Christmas and Easter, the AP reviews. Indonesia has a history of battling Islamist extremist groups. In December, the police arrested the head of Jemaah Islamiyah, an Al-Qaeda-aligned terror group most famously known for a 2002 bombing that killed more than 200 people. Indonesia's President Joko Widodo sought to assure that security services will remain on high alert in order to protect places of worship amid the fundamentalist threat. I can call on people to remain calm while worshiping because the state guarantees you can worship without fear, he said in a televised remarks in the wake of Sunday's blast.
Oh, wow. So prayers for them because they're martyrs, even if they didn't die. This is a martyrdom type scenario when you are attacked for your faith with a bomb.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just... Yeah, I can't even imagine that.
And you, Lord, we just lift up our brothers and sisters in Indonesia, and we pray for peace. We pray for protection. We pray that you help them to be able to reach their community with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we pray for healing for the victims in the name of Jesus. We pray this.
Amen.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on around the, this is our, if you guys are just joining us, this is our Sunday. This is our European news show. And it's gotten a little bit dicey because, you know, in Europe, y'all have a lot more, well, you have a, what's going on?
Nothing. You just got, your hair has still got like a braid in it. It's kind of cute.
Okay. Okay, she's touching me. She's my sister. She's touching me here. I don't like to be touched. She knows that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so it's YouTube, and I dive into certain things, and I'm like, okay, this won't.
So you're gonna come back to it. You guys will have to, or you're just not gonna talk about it.
Well, Farage is, so I'm quoting Farage.
Okay.
Nigel Farage says this won't fly. Farage blasts Boris Johnson's pub vaccine passport push. Nigel Farage has warned that the vaccine passport schemes being developed by Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government are unworkable, going on to deride the British leader as having a lack of principles. The Brexit leader said that trying to introduce a vaccine passport domestically to go to the pub or other venues won't fly, saying that it's unworkable and, frankly, to put this upon our struggling publicans, struggling politicians. At this moment in time would be completely outrageous. Mr. Farage also criticized Johnson for his flip-flopping and political opportunism, telling the Daily Mail on Sunday, the funny thing about Boris is everyone says he is this free market libertarian, but we have seen all through this that Boris doesn't really stand for very much at all. He's definitely a globalist. He and Joe Biden are working on their Build Back Better.
Stop it.
Yeah, their green initiative to build back better. Boris Johnson said it was great for that Biden got elected. You know, this is who he is. He also questioned the practicality of such a system, saying, let's say on April 12th, I want to go to Blacksmith Arms in Cathedral with my son who's 29. He hasn't had the jab, so can he come in or can he not come in? Looks like the Mail also reported on Sunday that the British government is in talks with Israel about the Middle Eastern country's Green Pass digital vaccine passport system. This is, so far in all the world, Israel has the harshest vaccine passport system.
The irony of that is, I just cannot even. It almost, you talk about the conspiracy theorists, right? And we've got a lot of people on our channel that just cannot stand Jews. They're literally anti-Semites. Did you
just say we have a lot of people?
We do. A significant amount of our viewers.
Don't watch me. I don't want anti-Semitic people watch me. I hate it.
I do too. But this is the only thing.
This is YouTube, by the way. You can't just say that.
This is the only.
If you were to say that and then now that goes viral and like, oh my gosh, why would they come to your channel?
I don't know. And a lot of them are on DLive.
We're very pro-Israel, by the way.
We are. Our channel is. But my point is, this is the only thing where I can say to you guys, this would be the only thing that would lend credence to everything that you believe. And it's creepy. What they're doing here is when we look at what happened in World War II with Hitler and the gassing of the Jews, and we have all of that, you've taken your rights away. Okay? They've completely taken your lives away. And they're supposed to be completely free now. And it's like, oh my gosh. The irony, I just can't even. I can't.
I'm still stuck on we have a lot of people, blah, 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 blah. That is like the worst thing. That will get you taken down off of YouTube like that. So yeah, I do not post anti-Semitic stuff or anti-Jewish people or Jewish.
No, we will shut you down. We will shut you down.
That is not acceptable. It's not appropriate. There's no free speech for that. Johnson also suggested that pubs could bar unvaccinated people from their businesses, saying that the concept of vaccine certification should not be totally alien to us. British tech firms, which have received thousands of pounds in government grants, are also developing facial recognition vaccine passport apps, ostensibly for use by private businesses such as pubs. However, despite the government's Orwellian response to the Chinese coronavirus, Mr. Farage predicted that that Britain's comparably successful vaccination program, combined with the ineffectiveness of the Labour Party, the British public are of a mind to forgive Boris everything else. There is no opposition. To be honest, whatever his flaws, I suspect he can be prime minister for as long as he wants, he predicted. Mr. Farage did strike a more positive note when questioned about the European Union's vaccine rollout fiasco, but I'm not into theirs either.
Nigel said something really pertinent there when he said, I suspect that Boris can be prime minister for as long as he wants. Mm-hmm. That's because they want him.
Well, the left wants him.
No.
They want him.
The puppeteers, the ones controlling everything, want Boris in there. He's doing exactly what they want him to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is not just a UK thing. Okay? Vaccination passports are being called the new golden ticket. Needed, and I'm going to put this on this show, and I'm not going to do a lot of commentary on it. You guys can come to your conclusions until we say goodbye to YouTube. Needed for global travel and the hospitality industries that benefit now that the recovery is on its way. Countries like Greece, who get a sizable share of their country's GDP from tourism, are looking forward to welcoming back visitors. Greece will reopen itself to visitors May 14th, Bloomberg noted last week, but will require either a vaccination, proof of recovery from the virus, of a negative test before departing for the country. And then my question is, what happens if you get one of a test that's positive? Because we all know, this is a fact, that the tests are not always accurate. Mike DeWine, test positive, test negative, you go back and forth, right? Those who require tourism for their livelihoods are ready to move on. Rental boat operator said, it's the safest way. We've reached a point where I can't go on like this. Greece is leading the way in pushing for vaccine passports, usually taking the form of certificates or digital cards, an idea that is also catching on in tourist nations like Thailand and the Caribbean. For businesses who rely on tourism, the passport is seen as a route to salvation. Sure is. Different kind of salvation. Air travel could wind up losing $95 billion in 2021 after 2020's worst year on record. As a result, airlines are following suit and supporting ideas that people can get traveling again. We're pinning our hopes on vaccines and the COVID pass, says hotel manager who operates in the Canary Islands. Jeffrey Goh, who heads the Star Alliance of 26 carriers, including Air China, Deutsche Lufthansa, Singapore Airlines, and United Airlines Holding, told Bloomberg there has been a lot of advocacy, but the execution has been sorely lacking. He believes a single set of standards needs to be developed for most major carriers and countries. Singapore Airlines and Qatar Airlines have both started trials of passport apps, while Carnival Cruise Lines has said no one on board in the ships without proof of vaccination.
No one can board.
Nobody can board. No one on board the ships.
That's all right. At least here in the United States, the cruise ships can't even cruise right now.
American Airlines has started experimenting with VeriFly app, as has Hyatt Hotels. And United has developed its own app that allows passengers to upload their vaccination records. In the EU, on March 17th, a digital green certificate was given the green light. It could take up to 3 months before it is implemented and can be used. But the devil is in the details. Aside from the obvious critique of globalization and overreaching government and corporations getting their noses in your medical records, the vast array of vaccines, some of which have been approved in limited amounts of countries, could make it tricky to determine who is safe to travel and who isn't. The passports are also simply unfair, as they would inevitably favor the inhabitants of richer nations over poorer ones, where the distribution of shots has barely begun.
That's a really good point. But in addition to that, though, again,
I would say, don't worry. They'll give them out for free. No,
but listen, every plan that they have come up with from the start of this has blown up in their faces. Okay? This is not going to help them. Okay? People are dead set. They're just not getting it. Okay? And they will choose just not to travel and not to do these things. And then you have, these people have power because they have money. Mm-hmm. If the economy comes to a screeching halt, which it is about to and should have already, they can't do anything without that money. They have to have that money in that system. It's going to blow up in their faces.
Yeah. So, during an appearance with Talk Radio, Hugh Osmond, the founder of UK pub chain Punch Taverns, actually labeled the proposal the most appalling idea and said it's most certainly illegal.
Pub landlords may well want to do this because allow you to get back to normal, encourage you to get customers in because customers will know they're safe. So why wouldn't they want to ask their customers to show their vaccine passports before they get in? Is that what you're planning to do in your pubs?
Definitely not. I mean, I think it's the most appalling idea, especially at this stage. I mean, apart from the fact that that it would be incredibly discriminatory against, the young people who haven't even been offered the vaccine yet. How would that work? The young people have been the most badly affected by lockdowns. Their education, university, their jobs all affected. And now you're going to say they haven't even been offered the vaccine yet. And yet somehow the very young people that like to go out and like to go to pubs would effectively be banned because they haven't got a passport. I mean, that's just, it's almost certainly illegal and, appallingly discriminatory. So we certainly wouldn't be agreeing to do it.
You think that actually there would be a legal challenge and it wouldn't be possible?
Well, I don't, it is, if young people have not been offered the chance to get a vaccine, and you are then saying they cannot go out.
But I don't think it's going to come to that,
a pub
though.
Or a restaurant without a vaccination.
I don't think it would be implemented until everybody had it.
That is surely unlawful discrimination, isn't it? I mean, just point of fact. I can't see it interpreted any other way.
So I guess I kind of disagree with Hugh there, but I'm thinking that's not the point. They're not trying to do it right this second, but they will try to do it as soon as everyone has the availability to do it.
Adam Brooks, a publican who runs several pubs, echoed that sentiment when he tweeted, "Anything but normal trading past June 21st is an utter disgrace. Once every adult has been offered the vaccine, the government and healthcare system has done its job. Life has to return." If there was no vaccine rollout and pubs were allowed to open tomorrow, the queues would be around the corner. So this notion of pubs only being busy with a passport is utter nonsense and very damaging to our industry. Kate Nichols, the CEO of Hospitality Trade Association UK Hospitality, also blasted the idea as not necessary or proportionate and said it would put lots of businesses in a very difficult position. Steve Baker MP, deputy chairman of the COVID recovery group, warned that domestic vaccine passport could extend to virtually every area of life. First, they said we'll need to watch football, and today that it may be papers for the pub. Whether the state legislates it, recommends it, or simply allows it, the results will be the same: a two-tiered Britain that prevents pregnant women from taking part in society.
That's true.
Given that the government is telling them not to take the vaccine. Or one where we turn back the clock and tolerate businesses turning away customers from communities which have shown an unfortunate hesitancy to take up the offer of the vaccine. We must not fall into this ghastly trap.
I feel like, though, they would put in, like, the caveats for the people.
Pregnant, nursing,
like there will be the caveats.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Adding a vaccine passport check on top will create further hassle and aggravation and will make going for a relaxing pint tougher than getting through airport security.
They can't. No. What you just said there is so important, right? The implementation of what they want to do, we don't have the manpower or the infrastructure to do it. It's not just a matter of just showing a passport to get in. They would have to massively digitize every shop, every pub, every train station, every bus.
Excuse me, the big black dog in the middle road again on Klondike.
All right, I will go look.
It's probably Christmas service.
It probably is.
Excuse me, there's a dog. In the middle of the road on Klondike. All right, guys, I am going to take you to. Are we up? How would I bring them up? Bring it up so they can see it.
Bring what up?
Never mind.
Just go to the actual. No, we're not up. You have
Okay.
to actually go to screen.
Let me give you the update on the Suez Canal. They got tugboats speeding to the blockage as more ships rerouted maritime traffic jam builds. And some people are calling this a conspiracy theory, like on purpose to shut down global trading. A pair of specially chartered tugboats on Sunday were ordered to make best speed to the Suez Canal and aid efforts to free a skyscraper-sized container ship wedged for days across the crucial waterway. The massive Ever Given. And everybody keeps calling it Ever Given or Evergreen. I don't know, guys. I don't know. What's the name of the ship? A Panama-flagged, Japanese-owned ship that carries cargo between Asia and Europe went aground Tuesday in a single-lane stretch of the canal, as Breitbart News reported. In the time since, authorities have been unable to remove the vessel, and traffic through the canal, valued at over $9 billion a day, has been halted, further disrupting a global shipping network already strained by the coronavirus pandemic. A Dutch-flagged Alp Guard and the Italian-flagged Carlo Magno called in to help tugboats. The tugboats already there reached the Red Sea near the city of Suez early Sunday. Satellite data from the marinetraffic.com showed. The vessel is wedged deep into the eastern wall of the canal. More dredging is required before any attempt to dislodge the vessel. To lighten the load, authorities will have to move a crane beside the Ever Given to unload the cargo containers. The ship will have to be drained of the water serving as ballast, and a lighter ship can then be pulled back by tugboats. So we'll see. They want to kind of... the tugboats will nudge the 400-meter-long, quarter-mile-long Ever Given as dredgers continue to vacuum up sand from underneath the vessel and mud caked to its port side. Workers plan to make 2 attempts Sunday to free the vessel, coinciding with high tides. A top pilot with the Canal Authority said, "Sunday is very crucial to today. It will determine the next step, which highly likely involves at least the partial offloading of the vessel. Despite the efforts of the canal's operators, the vessel with gross tonnage of 219,000 and dead weight of 199,000 has yet to budge, forcing global shipping giants to reroute more vessels around the tip of Africa. The exact circumstances surrounding this grounding are unclear, and I haven't been able to figure out because they don't know exactly how this happened. On Saturday, the head of the Suez Canal Authority conceded strong winds were not the only cause for the Ever Given running aground, appearing to push back against conflicting assessments offered by others. Lieutenant General Osama Rabi said an investigation it was ongoing but would not rule out human or technical error. The initial investigations rule out any mechanical or engine failure as a cause of the grounding. However, at least one initial report suggested a blackout struck the hull vessel carrying some 20,000 containers at the time of the incident. Rabi said he remained hopeful the dredging could free the ship. So, Egypt says they are prepared for all scenarios to refloat this mega ship. As of Sunday, there's no timeline given by the Suez Canal authorities on refloating the ship. When will it get up there? I don't know. Here, I don't know if you guys can see this behind me. This thing is absolutely huge. I want to show that again. Just boom, stuck. Trying to get some tugboats to swing it around. Where is Captain America? Where are the Avengers? Just give it a little nudge. Put it back into the canal. It's hilarious to me. This is what happens when we just got too big for our britches. Too big for our britches. The next attempt to tug the ship out has been postponed, and then now wait until tonight's high tide, which makes sense as the tide is currently so low. People are walking in the middle of the Gulf of the Suez. So we'll see how this goes. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Did you get the dog?
I think it was Christian service.
Okay. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So the boat's still stuck.
Boat's still stuck. They got to upload. They got to try to take some containers off. It's so funny to me.
You know what? When I was a kid growing up, the tugboat was always like the little tugboat And so I just love that. That's kind of they've sent in the tugboats.
Yeah.
It's serious when they've sent in the tugboats.
So the Vatican observes Earth Hour of Darkness against climate change. They've been doing this for a little while. The Vatican extinguished lights of the dome and the facade of St. Peter's Basilica for an hour on Saturday night in the commemoration of Earth Hour 2021. From 8:30 to 9:30, the iconic basilica was darkened as a symbolic gesture against climate change, joining monuments in cities across the globe that turned off their lights as well. Vatican News reported the act was performed to demonstrate the serious global climate crisis. Earth Hour is an initiative launched by the World Wildlife Fund in 2007 to call attention to the gravity of the climate crisis by symbolically abstaining from the use of energy for an hour. It began in Sydney, Australia, but quickly spread all over the globe, and now more than 10,000 landmarks and monuments switch off their lights.
Oh my gosh.
Vatican News noted that Earth Hour is billed as the largest global mobilization against climate change. Let me explain something to you.
There it comes.
You ain't doing nothing, baby. You ain't doing nothing for the environment. And you know what? As a kid, I remember we had reduce, reuse, recycle. And we were told about pollution. We were told about global warming. We were told not to use hairspray. We were putting holes in the ozone. I don't know what happened to that. The holes in the ozone and the hairspray. People just stopped using the hairspray. Maybe because it was because of climate change. Maybe that's a good thing. Because hairspray is stupid. Okay? You're spraying your hair in place. It's just kind of, what are we doing here? Okay? Everybody hairsprayed when I was in junior high and high school.
You can't. Here's what I want to know.
Yeah,
though.
the bangs. You got to spray them.
The 80s are coming back, right?
Ooh, is the hairspray coming back?
You cannot do the 80s hair without the hairspray. So I'm curious to see.
Oh, I had the big curls and you spray them. And I just think to myself, what am I thinking spraying my hair with glue?
Although I've seen on some of these crunchy, natural kind of posts, these girls, they make some sort of natural hairspray with sugar.
I ain't sugar in my hair either. That's weird. Okay. Yeah. So guys, we talk about this all the time. This isn't like, hey, let's all start gardening today or let's plant. I'm all about plant a tree day. Okay. And so is Nigel Farage. And actually so is Donald Trump. Things that would actually help the environment, things that would actually, they're not environmentalists. That's the whole thing with this climate change. All they want is a new industry, a new globalization industry, so they can make more money on something else. It's not about saving the planet, okay? And it just boggles my mind because I tried to sit down and talk to these people, okay?
What people?
The
young people?
I talk to people, and yeah, I talk to people.
You talk to people that are sold on climate change.
Yes, we do. We have interviews with people. Oh my gosh, where have you been? Yes, we try to talk to these people. And the kids are so brainwashed.
That's
They're
what
like,
as I said, the young people.
Yeah, there's older people. There's people. I talk to people. We talk to people. We talk to people online. We talk to people. What is your problem?
No. Okay, so, but you just did something. Look, what is going on with your hair right there?
I don't know.
There's some 80s hairspray there. You do a lot more interactions with people online.
Yeah.
On this stuff. I don't.
Okay.
I don't ever talk to people about this stuff.
Well,
So,
I talk to people.
I'm glad you do.
I talk to people in real life about this stuff.
Really though?
Yes, really. What is this? What is this conversation we're happening right now? Earth Hour has become a catalyst for positive environmental impact, driving major legislative changes by harnessing the power of people out in collective action, it claims. The WWF has plenty of critics, and it doesn't even mean that I talk to the people. Never mind. Even among true believers in the evils of climate change, the Copenhagen Consensus Center, for instance, the think tank that researchers and publishers... Michelle just tries to keep me on my toes, right? She just tries to, she literally, you're bicycling and she's the person that, throws something in front of your bike.
I know, that's mean. That's mean. I would
just
not
to
do
keep
that.
you on... No, you do it all the time on the show.
I do not do that. I
You
would
wanna
not
keep
throw
me on
someone
my
in front of
toes.
a bike.
You
That
do.
makes... No, that's not nice.
Oh.
But my point was... Our circle of people that we talk to,
Okay.
no one believes this garbage.
Some people do. I do. I do talk to people. People who believe in it. They're afraid in their heart.
To the point so much, though, that a lot of our friends, I'm kind of like, hey, guys, don't do that. That's not good for the environment. Like, our people are so on the other side. They're like,
Our
light
people,
fires with gasoline. And I'm just like,
I'm
I don't
not
think that's a
saying that
good
my
idea.
friends, I talk to people, acquaintances, okay?
I don't feel like we even have acquaintances like that.
Do you want me to list them here on television?
You can code them. Give me code names.
No, I'm not going to do it. Earth Hour does little. You know, we spent 5 minutes on the show going back and forth. I can actually give these people some information.
Get it.
Dear Lord in heaven.
They don't just
Hallelujah.
hang on. Raise your hand if you only come here for the information. Nobody's
The
gonna raise their
pushback
hand.
needs to be on like the facts of the stuff. Okay, if we want to have a
You know what?
discussion on the stuff.
I speak what comes to my mind.
No, because you can hold back. For you two, we are holding
I
back.
hold back a lot.
Except when it comes to
That
me.
one seemed acceptable.
Yeah, you get a little fart out of your mouth. Earth Hour does little for climate in terms of reducing CEO. It throws me off. Okay, we're just gonna we're stopping with the stupid article. We're stopping with the Breitbart article. This is stupid. Okay, it does nothing to help the environment. Okay, and to all the people that I talk to all the time, this is stupid and it does nothing to help the environment.
But if you want to use less electricity, it'll save you money on your bill.
It will. It will, but this is 1 hour for like symbolic, and it feels like penance. Like, I did it. Mm-hmm. I didn't use electricity for an hour once a year.
You know what
and
I'm saying?
I helped stop climate change.
Here's what would be better for the environment if you were to go outside and plant a little garden and grow yourself some food. Even if you only grew your tomatoes for the year or your zucchini, maybe you don't even eat that kind of stuff. It would help the environment if you started eating and growing your vegetables. Well, I don't like vegetables. Well, how much do you care about the environment? Start eating them.
I know.
Okay? Don't go giving your peas to Fido. He doesn't want them either.
All right. So Priti Patel and the government there in the UK have a bill. They want to limit protests across the country, and there was a largely peaceful kill the bill protest across the country after clashes in Bristol, Manchester, Nottingham, Sheffield, Bradford, Cambridge are among the cities where demonstrations against the controversial police crime sentencing and courts bill. Thousands have taken to the streets in cities across the UK to take part in the Kill the Bill protests, with 18 arrested as Manchester city centre was blocked by demonstrators. It comes less than 24 hours after ugly scenes in Bristol, where 10 people were arrested right as police clashed with protesters. There were Antifa there, BLM, and it was just an ugly mess. Greater Manchester police said officers had moved and arrested demonstrators who were blocking tram lines, I guess this afternoon in Cambridge, or yesterday afternoon. In Cambridge, a man was photographed climbing on the roof of a police station as anger grows over the government's proposed crackdown on protests. Hundreds of people gathered in London and Manchester, Nottingham, Sheffield, Bath, Brighton, Cardiff, Bradford sounds like a Jane Austen novel. Among the cities hosting protests today, anger is mounting over this police crime sentencing bill, which critics say will place limits on freedom of speech and the right to protest. Manchester's Chief Superintendent Andy Botham said, "We have been working closely with partners and engaging with those present at the protest all afternoon to avoid any risk or disruption to the wider public in the city centre, and today's event was largely peaceful and without issue. However, as the day went on, the remaining group caused significant disruption to the public of Greater Manchester. I understand the desire to peacefully protest, but by blocking trams, the smaller group prevented passengers from traveling to work for essential journeys. This was clearly unacceptable, and it is our duty to serve the public." In Nottingham, around 1,000 people were expected to rally against the bill. Guys, this is Priti Patel. They're spending the Bojo government is spending more time and energy to stop you from freedom than it is from these migrants just hopping on a ship and entering your country. Dude, you have been played like a sad out-of-tune violin. Boris Johnson and his group, y'all got something worse than Jeremy stinking Corbyn. And I know it sounds sad, but it's time for the people. You got to recognize that you can't play nice with these people. Okay? Nigel Farage realized Boris Johnson and this group of people are just as, they are worse. Jeremy Corbyn and Diane Abbott are toothless animals. They're toothless lions, okay? They can't do anything. People do make, the communists. No, you don't understand. It's not the communists, guys. The USSR wasn't that big of a threat. It's the globalists. It's the global mentality. Now, of course, don't get me wrong. Communism is actually the worst of isms, okay? Worse than fascism, worse than Nazism. Kills a lot of people, starves a lot of people. But in its quest to take over, the USSR is stopped because what happens with communism is that you run out of fuel for the fire eventually, because you take over all the palaces from the czars or from the emperors, and then you're just kind of you've sucked everything dry,
Right.
and that's how the people die, through starvation, mismanagement, poor management.
And if you don't have the little people producing your stuff, then the people up top don't get anything either.
No motivation. Globalism takes all the isms together, okay, and says, let's do this better, okay? For all intents and purposes, Karl Marx did write about the big, bad, evil guy and, supposedly for the worker, okay? That's not what globalization's about. Globalization is like a combination of the czars and the emperors and the fascists and everybody at the top and everybody else at the bottom. Okay? And Boris Johnson is a globalist. Okay? Globalist. And everybody thought that, it was so funny because the left didn't like Priti Patel. And they still kind of don't like her. But she doesn't like you. She's not on your team as people, okay? It's so funny because we're in this realm where the masks are coming off and certain people haven't been in on the know. And so you see George Bush up there with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama doing these pro-vaccine commercials, and you think to yourself, remember when they hated George Bush? And now he is some sort of national lefty hero. And then I've got Mike DeWine, who he's become the dictator of Ohio, and the bill to limit his power was voted on by all Republicans to limit the Republican governor's power, and the Democrats voted and sided with the governor. I am confused.
No, you're not.
But I'm not confused. We're seeing this new wave happening. It's very interesting because Merkel is losing power, and I haven't pinpointed why. Okay, the globalists, are they done with her? Is she a toothless lion?
Well, she's not healthy. So here's what we have. Because
she's not healthy.
It is Darwinianism.
Because she's got the shakes and the.
You are, and it's with any gang, it's with any mob, it's with any, whatever. You're only useful as long as you're useful, and as soon as your usefulness is over. But what's interesting about it is that it's sad because you have the Angela Merkels, you have the, even the Klaus Schwabs, or Joe Biden, Joe Biden's really low on the totem pole here. But you have the people that were in charge. Mm-hmm. But because they train the younger ones, that are going to take over their job in this ideology of kill or be killed, or you aren't useful, you hold no value. As soon as your usefulness is done, then you get shoved to the side. It's like that movie, The Giver. We talk about that a lot, where the older people, I think, got sent to almost like a gas chamber type thing, and it was like their duty to go and do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's their duty, Angela Merkel, to die on her sword. Okay, it's their duty, but once they get there, their mortality hits them in the face, and they're like, I don't think that I liked what we created, because now what we created
It's killing me.
is killing me. And it's this vicious cycle. So I don't feel badly for those at the top, but that is why it happens. And I can guarantee you very, very shortly, you will see Joe Biden's usefulness come to an end.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Lockdowns are creating an evil new slave labor trade across our towns and cities. This day says the Sun on Sunday. Criminal gangmasters are offering migrants trying to enter the UK cut price COVID crossings. They are charging £400 instead of the usual £40,000.
Wow.
Say experts.
Wow.
Some 3,042 victims were identified between October and December last year. More than 30 a day fell prey to the gangmasters, up to 22% on the previous 3 months, and 274 adults and 180 children were forced to work as sex slaves.
Oh my gosh.
Officials last year identified 4,946 slaves aged 17 or under, the highest ever. London, West Mids, West Yorks, and Manchester are badly hit. Many nail bars and car washes are slavers' fronts. This is expert Matt Friedman said gangsters don't class people as human, they're a commodity. Rob Richardson of the National Crime Agency, Britain's FBI, revealed that evil COVID discount adding victims are controlled by fear, violence, and debt bondage. Expert Matt Friedman said gangsters don't class people as human, they're a commodity. COVID's created a dangerous new marketplace of human trafficking. There's a video here of kids among 35 migrants rescued in the Channel after being crammed into a single boat. You're muted in case you care.
I did mute it. I didn't know. I didn't want to overshadow you. So they're going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Just play it.
Yeah. This is people trafficking. This is human trafficking.
Right.
At what point are we where? I thought human trafficking was bad. Bad. And when they come in, the people are being. Remember the box truck?
Yeah, no, that was terrible.
Where all those women died.
Mm-mm.
I don't think people care about people. I honestly don't. I honestly don't think they
care.
care.
But we care and you guys care, which is why we're talking about it.
You care.
You care.
Well,
do we need to switch off of YouTube or?
In a minute.
Okay.
Canada. Weddings can return on April 12th. But get this.
No.
Yeah.
No. Are y'all reading that behind my head?
And brides and grooms can kiss if they haven't been living together. Even if they haven't been living together. Wedding celebrations can take place again from April 12th as lockdown eases, and loved up couples will be spared COVID rules for their big day with a kiss and a first dance, even if they are from different households.
So wait a minute though. Have they been given permission to consummate their marriage, or is that still no?
Government rules stating people from different households must abide by social distancing throughout ceremonies and receptions had sparked fears brides and grooms would not be able to enjoy many wedding rituals.
Like kissing.
Earlier this month, it was stated that celebrations for up to 15 people would be allowed on April 12th.
So you
That's
can
not
have
really a wedding.
Hang on though, because does that include the bride and the groom?
I don't know.
So you can only have 13 guests. All right, so that includes the groom's mom and dad. Now we're down to 11 left. The bride's mom and dad, we're down to 9. If you have siblings,
you're out.
If each family has more than 4 or 5 siblings, that's it. That's the end of who
But
can come. Wait, the minister.
Oh,
shoot!
You better not have a lot of brothers and sisters.
You better not have a wedding.
Only in places of worship, public buildings, or outdoor spaces. Under COVID rules, you must stick to social distancing if you're from different households. So you have to be 6 feet apart at these weddings.
What about
Canada is
the bride and groom can kiss. So I'm assuming that means that they don't have to be 6 feet apart. You know what this does? This rewards people living together before they're married.
It does. Oh, I know it does. Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Under COVID rules, you must stick to social distancing if you're from different households. Official government rule states during all activities linked to the reception or celebration, all parties, especially people from separate households or bubbles, should adhere to social distancing guidelines.
Bubbles.
Yeah, bubbles. Such as wearing face coverings.
No.
Guests are also warned that they must maintain social distancing and only travel to and from the reception with their bubble or their household. But clarifying the advice today, the government spokesperson said social distancing is not expected between the couple getting married. Distancing is also banned at weddings from April 12th because dancing is also banned. Sorry.
No dancing.
Because of the increased risk of transmission of the virus. However, the government rule says that the only exception to this rule
you get a
is
little
the
winded.
couple's first dance. This is so minutely decided, you know? Okay, so some expert sits down and is like, okay, let's do 10 people. No, let's do 15. Somebody in the room was like, let's do 100. No. And
And then you got somebody that says we can't have dancing, and then you got somebody go, but the first dance.
I know.
Come on, you gotta let them have that.
I know. You gotta let them.
I love what Mika says here on YouTube. Why do we keep asking for permission? Here's the deal. I'm going to get married during this pandemic. I don't know who to. Just so that I can throw a big old wedding against Mike DeWine. Like, legit.
I think
whatever
you can have
rules
weddings in Ohio.
Yeah, but they're still limited and you got to social distance. And I think you have to wear masks if you're not outside.
Really?
Yes. Well, of course, the mask.
Have you seen
it?
I haven't seen anybody getting married, so.
I am telling you, this is what I need to do. This is my calling from God Almighty. I want the cops to show up.
I do too.
Haul me off to jail in my wedding dress. I mean, I need this. I need to get married during this pandemic so that I can invite 500 people and everybody on our YouTube to my wedding, traveling across states, coming from around the world to this big old party of me getting married to somebody.
Yeah.
I know somebody wants to marry me. And I'm gonna do it.
Okay, this is sad though because it's an estimated 7,000 weddings will have to be postponed or canceled because of the confusion under the new rules beginning April 12th.
I want to see the couple that like tries to comply to this. I'd be like, you are so weak, honey. Don't marry that man.
Oh,
Do not. If he's agreeing to do to these rules, here's what you do. You fly to some free state, free country, or whatever, and you go get married there.
no, you just do it. And you fight the fine.
You fight the fine. What can they do? What can they do?
You don't give the venue until the morning of. You pick people that you know and you trust.
Yeah.
And you do it.
You just do it.
And you do it quick.
Yes.
Right?
You find some local farmer that's got a nice big barn.
And if somebody shows up to do fines, you contact Ezra from the Rebel and
That's
we
right.
fight the wedding
We are
fines.
fighting.
If 7,000 people hold these weddings, you can't. We'd be great if you could do it all the same day. Try to do all the tickets on this day. Call it Wedding Day in Canada.
Yeah.
And do 7,000
No!
weddings.
This is such... We need to contact Ezra and tell him that they need to start this We're having wedding day protests. We're getting married.
And then
On this
if you
day.
have even like 1,000 different weddings across the country, you can't ticket them all.
That's right.
Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Our backyard's big enough. We just got to get it dry, but we could do it.
Well, at this point, I gotta have it indoors just to say we being inside
We are going to be inside.
with no mask.
With no masks.
All right.
We're still on YouTube.
Well, there are some states that are mask free,
Okay.
right?
We don't live in one.
It's been estimated 7,000. And this, honestly, this is promotion of fornication, which they say that if you sleep with people outside of marriage, if you live with somebody before marriage, the statistics are that your marriage doesn't last as long.
That's true.
Now, some people are like, well, I lived together before marriage and we stayed together for a long time. And that there's exceptions to every rule. But I'm saying that
Or exceptions that prove the rule.
cohabitating, intimate couples, when you turn your whole life inside out together and you are like a married couple, but you're not married, you've removed all the bounds for commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so celebrations are only allowed to happen in places of worship, blah, blah, blah. Other venues, about 7 and 10, will have to remain closed until... What's 7 and 10? Closed until restrictions are eased May 17th. Says the UK. Oh, this is actually in the UK. I thought this was Canada. This was shared from the Rebel News. forgive me. We're not in Canada because this was shared from the Rebel. This is in the UK. Okay.
It's on the Sun though. It's not
the
the
Sun
Rebel.
is the UK. No, but Rebel shared it. And
Okay.
it was all these lockdown things. So I thought
Okay.
this was Canada because other people thought it was Canada too in
All
the
right.
comments. But still,
Rework it in your head. All that's in
This
the
is
UK.
in the UK.
You can't get married in the UK.
but the UK has a. Did you know the UK has a weddings task force
Huh? Now or like prior to COVID?
for COVID?
For COVID.
A weddings task force.
Oh my gosh. They're coming after you.
Okay.
You know what this is like? It's like that scene in was it Braveheart? Where they get married secretively or something like that, or it's one of those.
We're just having a party, man.
You know what I'm talking about?
Just do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Speaking of Canada, I have a lot of videos from a protest in
I have
Toronto.
an idea.
What?
If you live in a state where you have a mask mandate, you theme your wedding a masquerade wedding, and everybody have their little eye masks on a stick. And so if anybody, if the cops show up, everybody, we have our masks. We have our masks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when they leave, you take it down.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
It's a masquerade ball wedding.
I think it's cool. I think that's a great idea.
I'm always thinking.
You are always thinking. There you go.
About stuff.
I'm going to sneeze. Think of bananas. All right. Oh,
Here it comes.
oh my gosh. Okay. So I have the rest of my show is not very YouTube friendly, only because and it's, I want to show you and I want to be free.
And you know what
to
that
talk.
means? That means that YouTube is not friendly to it.
Yeah. I want to talk freely about what's going on with these protests here in Toronto because these Canadians are fit to be tied. Because
So now we really are
tied.
going to Canada.
And I have a couple more things that I want to share with you guys, but I just know that there's so much crazy censorship because, well, I don't know. Maybe I could share this. A new Dutch translation of Dante's Inferno will censor the mention of Mohammed.
What?
So the Dutch translation of the medieval classic Divine Comedy by Italian poet Dante Alighieri removes mention of the Islamic prophet who appears in hell. The new translation is said to be aimed at younger readers and censors any mention of the Islamic prophet as not to hurt unnecessarily, according to the translator of the new edition of the work.
They're rewriting classics.
Yeah, the Dutch-speaking Belgian radio said that the redacted section involved Dante's visits to one of the 9 circles of hell and the Inferno, specifically the 8th circle, which he mentions meeting the Islamic prophet Muhammad. The section that mentions Muhammad in this translation by 19th century American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow reads as this, and it's pretty gruesome. A cast by losing centerpiece or cant was never shattered so as I saw one rent from the chin to where one breaketh wind. From the tushy. Between his legs were hanging down his entrails. His heart was visible, and the dismal sack that maketh excrement of what is eaten. While I was all absorbed in seeing him, he looked at me, and he opened his hand, his bosom saying, See now how I rend me, how mutilated I see is Mohammed. In front of me doth Ali weeping go, cleft in the face, from forelock unto chin, and all the others whom thou here beholdest, disseminators of scandal and of schism, while living were, and therefore are cleft thus. So the if you don't know, it's the different levels of hell and who's there and why they're there, and it was to give people a vision of what hell was like. And from Dante's Inferno, we have a lot of our visions of hell. I don't know if hell is like that, but that's the way Dante envisioned it. Now, much of the passage has been preserved with Muhammad's name and the lines in which the Muslim prophet were punished for spreading Islam or creating the schism have been completely removed. The publisher's goal was to make the Inferno accessible to the widest possible audience, especially the younger audience. And the rest of it's there, okay, with your guts exposed, when you being, but that's okay. for the younger audience.
It's fine.
But say Muhammad's there.
Right.
And that's offensive.
Not okay.
That's offensive. We knew that if we left this passage as it was, a large part of the readers would have been unnecessarily hurt. The translator added that the decision was made in concert with the book's publisher and in context of the murder of the teacher, Samuel Pate. Okay? Pate, who showed cartoons of Muhammad in his class last year during a lesson on freedom of expression, was subject to social media campaign by Islamists and was later beheaded in the street by a Chechen refugee. Later, it was revealed that the girl who actually spread, whose claims sparked the campaign, had lied about being in Patty's class when the cartoons were displayed to pupils and had falsely claimed Muslims were singled out and asked to leave the room before the drawings were shown. Her father, who helped organize the social media campaign, was arrested after the killing. He is believed to have been directly communicated with Patty's killer before the murder.
Wow.
The new translation of Dante has not been without.
It was a hit job.
It was because of this Muhammad criticizing thing. Dutch translator Peter Vestigen, who has also translated Dante's work, labeled the move as censorship. The Divine Comedy is a sacrosanct masterpiece. You can't cut it like that. In the Netherlands, I have never been asked to censor this piece. It is true that in the case of an adaptation, one has more freedom, but then it would be indicated in the book that it is an adaptation and not a translation. In any case, no one has asked for this capitulation. Writer Benali even noted that the Arabic translation of Dante had not changed the text for Arabic-speaking audiences, but said some versions had added footnotes explaining the historical context of the work.
Wow.
And there's kind of a lot around this idea here. A teacher who showed Mohammed pictures in class is under police investigation. A British teacher who showed his class cartoons.
Police protection, didn't it?
Protection. I'm sorry. Protection.
I can read.
Yeah, a British teacher who showed his class cartoons of the Muslim prophet Muhammad has reportedly been moved to a safe location and is under police protection.
Now, I don't want to take for granted that we have new viewers that have not been on our show before. You're not really familiar with world news. You are not allowed, according to Islam, okay, to show any image of Muhammad. It's completely different from any other religion. I'm not sure that there might be some.
No, every other religion wants
India,
a picture.
But it's
not in India, no, because they're all like,
I know, you're right.
They make the statues.
I was just thinking where there would be a lot of different religions that might have weird stuff. This is the only one that comes to mind where you're not allowed to show the image of the Prophet Muhammad.
This week, the head teacher of a school in the north of England made a groveling apology to parents after one of his teachers showed an image of Muhammad to his class during a religious education lesson. Media reports claim the cartoons were showed during a discussion of freedom of speech and blasphemy laws. Gary Kibble, the head teacher of Batley Grammar School in the West Yorkshire town of the same name, which has a large Muslim population, had written that the pictures of the religious figure were completely inappropriate because they had the capacity to cause great offense to certain members of the school's community. Kibble also had a meeting with the local imam before announcing the suspension of the teacher. The Telegraph reported on Thursday that a senior police source of West Yorkshire Police told him that the 29-year-old schoolmaster, his domestic partner, and their 4 young children had gone into hiding. Police had expressed concerns for the family's safety after the educator's identity was revealed online. Officers have been especially assigned to him. This is obviously very sensitive. Local Muslims are up in arms. There's obviously significant risk around the individual now. Does this happen in Christian communities at all? If you make fun of Jesus?
No.
He wasn't making fun of Muhammad.
He was just showing images. It's hard to talk, I like to, if I'm talking about someone that I know to someone else, to a friend of mine or whatever, I like to show them a picture because that's how I want a mental image. You want a mental image of what you're thinking about, what you're being told or taught.
Very interesting. Parents of the school were protesting to show that the country that Islamophobia won't be tolerated. But I think this isn't Islamophobia if you're trying to show not to be afraid of Islam.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Show the picture, don't be afraid of Islam.
Right.
Show the picture, I'm not afraid of Islam. The guy who showed the picture was not afraid.
Right.
He was showing not Islamophobia, right? That it's a backwards thing. And you do have Ricky Jarvis, who blasts the protest over this teacher showing Muhammad cartoon. He says, effing blasphemy, it's 2021 for blank's sake. What's next? People being punished for insulting unicorns. He's a comedian there, the creator of The Office and famed atheist, took to social media on Friday to rail against the Islamic protesters who are calling for the firing of this grammar school teacher. The British comedian has long been an advocate for free speech and has expressed disdain for cancel culture mobs. Gervais has also frequently taken aim at religion in general. Everyone has a right to believe anything they want, and everyone else has a right to find it blanking ridiculous. British actor turned London mayoral candidate Lawrence Fox also criticized the Islamic campaign against a teacher, writing, "I personally find blasphemy distasteful and disrespectful, but as always, I defend your right to take a blank out of my God, and in equal measure, my right is to take a blank out of yours. These are the values Britain holds dear."
Tell us how you really feel.
Protests have been held outside the local grammar school in Batley since Thursday after it was revealed that the teacher had shown the class a cartoon of Muhammad, reportedly during class on blasphemy. The teacher, who was suspended from the school over the incident, he was inciting. It has accused the teacher of terrorism and inciting Islam. Explaining after he was accused of failing to condemn Islamic beheadings on a radio appearance, Hussain told the Daily Mail, Mohammed Hussain, "I was shocked and upset at the questions. I couldn't understand why I was being asked about beheadings. I was trying to say that I was against beheadings and that the Prophet said that if you were to kill someone, blah, 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 blah." There have been comparisons between the Batley protest and the campaign against the French geography and history teacher Samuel Paty. That's why I put those two together. Who was beheaded by a Muslim refugee last October. His death came after an online hate campaign was conducted by a pupil's father. Labour MP Tracy Brabin defended the school's move to suspend the teacher, writing in a statement, "I welcome the school's apology and recognition of the offense this has caused, but conversations between the school, the parents, and local community must proceed." The religious studies teacher was trying to educate students about racism and blasphemy. He warned the students before showing the image that he had the intent to educate them. He does not deserve such large repercussions. He is not a racist and did not support the Islamophobic cartoons in any manner. This has got out of hand, and due to this, students have missed out on lessons because of peaceful protests.
So he was trying to say these images are wrong, and here's what they look like.
No, he was trying to explain you have the freedom of speech to do it.
Okay.
But he does not agree with the images. Some of the images I know in different cartoons have been very disturbing to me. I don't like to see some of these, French cartoonists can get and German satire when they do. Very interesting because it's okay to show Donald Trump and Angela Merkel even, and in Germany they have those big parades and they have a tradition of just nastiness. You know what I mean? The vile sexual craziness going on there. It's just it's demonic in my opinion. But at the same time, the freedom of speech to do things and to say things, I don't know. It's I think it's right to be sensitive to people's feelings. And I don't know if I would show horrible images just because I wouldn't want to. I don't like some of the images that they put out. And I think that we can as a community, as a people, can say, F so and so is probably not appropriate for a school lesson.
Exactly.
Okay. But there's nothing, if you can show a picture of your dog and you just show a picture or a drawing of Muhammad.
Yeah.
Just to say that that's blasphemy.
So Barry says, Michelle, the Labour Party want to re-invoke the UK blasphemy laws to empower Islam. Blasphemy laws haven't been used in the UK for hundreds of years. So you had a Palm Sunday message you were going to give, and then you didn't at the start of the show because you wanted to do it.
I know,
for
and then I just
YouTubers.
kept doing the news. I did the news, but I'm gonna share this article because it kind of goes along with it. The Danish government has announced a package of new proposals aimed at fighting religious and cultural parallel societies in Denmark. A cornerstone of the plan includes capping the percentage of non-Western immigrants and their descendants dwelling in any given residential neighborhood. The aim is to preserve social cohesion in the country by encouraging integration and discouraging ethnic and social self-segregation. The announcement comes days after Denmark approved a new law banning the foreign funding of mosques in the country. The government has also recently declared its intention significantly to limit the number of people seeking asylum in Denmark. Denmark, which already has some of the most restrictive immigration policies in Europe, is now the vanguard of European efforts to preserve local traditions and values in the face of mass migration, runaway multiculturalism, and encroachment of political Islam. The new proposals announced by Interior and Housing Minister Divvad Bik on March 17th are contained in a 15-page report called Mixed Residential Areas, the Next Step to Fight Against Parallel Societies. A main element of the plan calls for relocating residents of non-Western origin to ensure that within the next 10 years they do not comprise more than 30% of the total population of any neighborhood or housing area in Denmark. So you can still stay in Denmark, you just kind of got to spread out. The plan also calls for phasing out of the term ghetto areas, which have been criticized as being derogatory, and replacing it with more politically correct prevention areas. The term ghetto, which refers to areas with high concentrations of immigrants, unemployment, and crime, first came into official use in Denmark in 2010 in the release of the government report Reinserting Ghettos into Society, a showdown with parallel societies in Denmark. A ghetto area currently refers to a residential area with at least 1,000 inhabitants, where the proportion of non-Western immigrants and their descendants is higher than 50%, and where at least 2 of the following or 4 criteria are met. The proportion of residents aged 18 to 64 who are not in work or in education exceeds 40%. And actually, that's huge. That's huge. If you're 18 to 64 and you're not in school or working, and that exceeds 40%,
that's unreal.
That
should be unreal for anywhere.
Where is that? Where else is that? Okay. The proportion of residents who have been convicted of violating the Penal Code, the Firearms Act, or the Narcotics Act is at least 3 times the national average. The proportion of residents aged 30 to 59 who only have a primary school education exceeds 60% of all residents, because Denmark is highly educated. They want everybody to be highly educated. The average gross income for taxpayers aged 15 to 64 in the area is less than 55% of the average gross income of all residents in the area.
So if we're in an area that meets all those criterias, it's a ghetto. And then they're going to now start limiting
2 of the 4 criteria.
Okay, so that's pretty.
In 2018, the Danish Parliament, with support from, here's the thing, this is the idea of socialism and trying to balance things out. Mm-hmm. They want to balance things. This is where you get with socialism and mass migration. Whose support from all the country's main political parties adopted the Parallel Society package known as the Ghetto Plan. At the time, the government explained the need for a comprehensive strategy to combat parallel societies. The government wants a cohesive Denmark. A Denmark that is based on democratic values such as freedom and rule of law, equity, equality, and freedom, tolerance, and equality. A Denmark where everyone participates actively. Over the past 40 years, Denmark's ethnic composition has changed markedly. In 1980, we were 5.1 million people in Denmark. It's got 5 million people. It's like, what, is that like the smallest country?
Yeah.
Today we are close to 5.8 million.
Wow.
The growth of the population comes from outside, both immigrants and descendants of immigrants. The majority of the new Danes have a non-Western background. They're not having babies there in Denmark. In 1980, there were almost 50,000 people with non-Western backgrounds in Denmark. Today, there are almost 500,000. This corresponds to an increase from approximately 1% of the population to 8.5%. What has gone wrong? At least 3 things. First, the individual immigrant has the responsibility to learn Danish, to get a job and become part of the local community, and to be integrated into his new homeland. Far too few have seized the opportunities that Denmark offers, despite the fact that Denmark is a society with security, freedom, and free education and good job opportunities. Second, as a society, for too many years, we have not made the necessary demands of newcomers. We have had far too low expectations for the refugees of immigrants. And this is true. This is actually anti-racism. If you're going to be here,
you can do whatever everybody else can do.
You are just equal with us. You're going to get in society. You're going to be educated. You're going to be smart. You're going to be working. You're going to be a positive influence in this country. And this is actually anti-racism.
You're going to provide for yourself.
This is saying you have qualities in you. Mm-hmm. You can be great.
Right.
Okay, I love this actually. We have not made significantly tangible demands on jobs and self-sufficiency. Therefore, too many immigrants have ended up in prolonged inactivity. Third, for decades, too many refugees and family reunified people have not been integrated into Danish society. They've been allowed to clump together in ghetto areas without contact with the surrounding community, even after many years in Denmark, because we have not made clear demands of them to become part of the Danish community. It's about to be the last call. In parts of Western Europe, massive challenges have arisen with ghettos and very ingrained parallel societies. Denmark is not there yet, and that is why we must make a massive effort now. He said there's only one way: the ghettos must be completely eradicated. Parallel societies must be broken down, and we must make sure that the new ones do not arise. Once and for all, the very big task of integration must be tackled whenever immigrants and their descendants have not embraced Danish values and isolate themselves in parallel societies. The 2018 agreement stipulates that if a residential area ends up on the so-called ghetto list, local councils must choose between 4 measures: demolish public housing, build new housing for private rental, convert public housing to elderly or youth housing, or sell public housing to private buyers or investors for private rental.
So they're talking about kicking people out.
Yeah.
If there's a ghetto, they're kicking people out of the ghettos.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm listening and I'm hearing some good stuff, and maybe it's the pessimist in me. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm not really a pessimist, actually. I'm looking at this. I'm like, it's not going to work.
I know. You can't just say,
you can't just tell
you
people
can't just
to
demolish.
move.
You can't just demolish public housing and be like, "Oh, we eradicated the ghetto." Where are they going to go?
Where are they going to go? And if, as long as they are allowed to keep coming in, I understand that they're going to limit it, right? But still, I just feel like Jesus Christ is the only thing that will renew people out of the ghetto. Now, their definition of a ghetto is different than ours. Theirs is really ethnic.
Right.
Okay. Ours is far different than that. But I just don't see this. You can't fix socialism with more socialist ideas. Okay. You can't fix the problems of socialism and allowing all these migrants in with just more of the same. More of the control. It just doesn't work.
This is Denmark's center-left social democrat party that is actually very strongly anti-immigrant. This is the lefties in Denmark. So are the lefties truly, and are they the racists? I mean seriously.
Well, no, it's like Italy. There's populism and globalism.
Yeah, but these people are anti-globalist. They're anti the Merkels. They're saying don't come.
That's what I'm saying, though. You can be a leftist and be a populist.
Huh? Well, I haven't seen many leftist, populist, anti-immigrants people.
Italy.
Well, you're right. You're right but he's not a leftist. I think with the leftists here, it's morally left. With Salvini, they're morally right. But they believe in some socialism.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Morally, they're Christian, right, conservative.
So then there again, though, I don't have a lot of faith in it, though. If they're not Christian,
yeah, no,
it's not going to work.
Right.
But what's the good news out of this is that they're kind of scrambling, going like, uh-oh, I think we might have made a mistake.
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
Yeah.
And their solutions probably won't work.
So on January 22nd, during a parliamentary hearing on Danish immigration policy, Fredrickson said that she was determined to reduce the number of asylum approvals. Our goal is 0 asylum seekers. We cannot promise 0 asylum seekers, but we can establish the vision for a new asylum system and then do what we can to implement.
It's not going to work.
We must be careful that not too many people come to our country. Otherwise, our social cohesion cannot exist. It is already being challenged.
They're just
this
now
is
waking
so
up to
crazy.
This. They're just now waking up to this.
This is so crazy. How can you say this and then say, America, you need to open up your doors to everybody? How can you say to other countries, you need to open? This literally says our social cohesion cannot exist if we open up to foreigners.
This is what happens, okay? You allow everybody into your house to have a big giant party. You're like, oh, it's going to be a big party. It's going to be fun. But then all of the crazy people start showing up and fights are breaking out and they're breaking grandma's vase. And I mean, it gets out of hand. And so then all of a sudden you're like, no. You know what? I don't think we need to have open doors parties.
In her New
everybody
Year's
needs
address,
to get out and leave and go home.
In her New Year's address, she said, as a society, we must step more into character and stick with our Danish values. We must not accept that democracy is replaced with hatred in parallel societies. Radicalization must not be protected. It must be revealed. The government will rethink its integration efforts so that it is based to a greater extent on clear requirements and clear expectations with a focus on law and duty. Basically, it must be the case that once you have been granted residence in Denmark, you must, of course, support yourself. If this is not possible for a period of time, the government will propose that you, in return for your social welfare benefit, be obliged to contribute the equivalent of a normal working week of 37 hours. These are some of the tasks ahead of us for the new year.
Honestly, if they could achieve that, if they can enforce it, they stand the chance of some success.
How do you in Denmark achieve your cohesion with a totally different ideology and culture?
Right.
I find it interesting because I thought all cultures are great, that you don't want them. You want to, I thought we were, multiculturalism was a great thing. I thought that we wanted everybody just to be themselves.
Right.
So I'm losing the narrative here from Denmark. Are they just a wild card in all this? Because like Sweden, they're confused. Like they're like, right? Okay, there's no hard line. All right, Sweden, Denmark, neighbors, baby. Okay, up there in the
I still think a lot of
Scandinavia,
these people
Norway,
are
Denmark,
I think they're
Sweden.
scrambling. I think they're like, wait a minute, we made a mistake. We got to get this in check.
Well, and that's one of the things everybody keeps talking about with Sweden and their social programs and things like that. It worked because they were literally just one group of people that have lived together for thousands of years. Okay, and we are America.
We're America.
And UK too, to a greater extent. You guys are multicultural. Okay, it's when you don't have shared values on a lot of things. What do you believe is murder? What do you believe is rape? What do you believe is the age of consent? Where are your beliefs at? Okay, and this is where we probably should just say goodbye to YouTube for a second.
Until next time.
Yeah, so guys, YouTube, join us on DLive.
We're on Twitch, we're on Periscope, but what you need to do is go to resistancechicks.com, and I'm going to put the link in for today's show in the chat on YouTube, so you guys can follow to whichever stream you guys like best. I know that the Twitch people are pretty biased over there. They're really digging it. Periscope. Ian had asked earlier in the show, where can I watch this channel, because Periscope is going. Periscope is going as of the 31st, the end of this month. This may be our last stream. I don't know if we're going to go live between now and then. But
so are we going to try to go live on I don't know how anybody would even find us under Mass Faith 3, Michelle Svensson, because they're telling people
on
to go
Twitter?
live on Twitter with their Twitter account.
Okay. Well, we'll try to switch over, I guess, to Twitter. I don't know. We'll have to see if you really like that platform. Otherwise, just come and join us on DLive or Twitch.
And Facebook,
Resistance
and
Chicks.
resistancechicks.com.
Yeah. And we do the first probably half of each show on YouTube. For now. So at least you'll get notified there when we go live. So I hope that's helpful. It's what we have for right now. Rumble has rolled out a live streaming capability. They're only allowing the top tiers to do it. I imagine that will trickle down fairly quickly once the kinks get worked out. So
yeah,
you can look to that. So we're gonna miss Periscope. I love Periscope. I love you guys, how loyal you are. Like literally, we go live and then you just hop on. You're right there. The notification is a beautiful system. So it's gonna be sad to say goodbye to Periscope. So if this is our last Periscope stream, I have loved streaming on Periscope with you guys, and for quite some time it was always just YouTube and Periscope. That's what we did. So anyway, please don't abandon us just because the platform is dying.
Is that Periscope right there?
This is Periscope.
Well, you're not going anywhere. Hang on.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere today. I'm just saying. So YouTube, we're saying goodbye. Y'all know the routine. You know where to find us. Resistancechicks.com.